Anthony, I feel like today's show is all about you making me feel jealous.
You didn't use your pit bull today.
I should have.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That is Anthony Melchiori. I am Glenn Hausman, and this is a new shirt. How are you, Anthony?
I like that. It's a very Nordstrom-y looking shirt.
Yeah, it is. Well, listen, I wanted to elevate a little bit today because today's going to be a really amazing show because, I got a lot of bucket list items on places I want to see. And Dubai is one of those places, Anthony, because Dubai, they really understand what luxury is. And I have a feeling what I think luxury is completely off the mark than what they think.
When in our lifetime, outside of Vegas, have you seen a town go from nothing to something? Vegas took 50 years. Dubai did it in 3.2 seconds. And it's become the standard. And what Jerry is doing over in Saudi and stuff, they're kind of doing what Dubai's tried to do or has done. And one of my things that I'm ashamed of, I'm ashamed of two things. One, I don't speak Italian, and I'm Italian. And two, I've never been to Dubai. So when people say, you've traveled everywhere, you've never been to Dubai, I've never been to Dubai. So we're going to change that with an invite to his hotel.
I know. Hopefully we'll be saying Dubai anytime soon. Tom Roelens, managing director of Atlantis, the Royal, beautiful new addition to the Atlantis complex. It's look at this beautiful picture here behind me. Open just about a year now. Tom, welcome. How are you, man?
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be on the show, Anthony and David. It was really a pleasure to connect today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Tom, I got to start off right away by asking how on earth do you wind up in a place like this, the Royal in Atlantis?
Well, it's been an incredible journey, really, the last couple of years. And I've had the fortune of growing up in the industry and first starting up in fine dining restaurants back home in Belgium and France. And then having an amazing career around the world, most of it actually opening hotels and reimagining hotels and destinations. So when the opportunity was presented to open Atlantis, the Royal here in Dubai, it really was a dream come true. And it's a project that really comes along once in a hotelier's career. And probably a resort such as Atlantis, the Royal, maybe gets built once in a decade or even, in a longer time frame somewhere in the world. And we've certainly had an incredible ride here at Atlantis in Dubai, whether it's with the existing Atlantis, the Palm, whether it's been with the expansion of Aquaventure, the water park, which is now the largest water park in the world. And then really the crown jewel in the last year, being able to open Atlantis, the Royal, to the world and showcase kind of the next generation of hospitality here in Dubai.
And you talk about next generation of hospitality, and you talk about it in terms of hotels and resorts. I want to talk about it in terms of one of the things that we're trying to do is get people interested in the hotel business. Now, I look at your job, and I've done everything, seen everything, and I've had an incredible career. But I haven't had your career. And your career is something I am actually envious of because those jobs that you have are very select, and there's a very select few people on earth that are asked to take those jobs. I mean, you're one of the very few select people that are qualified for those jobs. So if you were talking to a 14-year-old that wants to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, why should they maybe take the track of a hotel? Because they see the busboy and the bellman and the front desk job, but they don't see the big kahuna job that you have. They don't see that far ahead. They're like, oh, no, these jobs don't pay that well, and I don't want to be a busboy or a housekeeper or a front desk person or a manager. I want that guy's job. But you can't get that guy's job unless you go through all the channels. And when you get that guy's job, it's a really good job. So, and even though you work your butt off. So what would you tell that 14-year-old?
Well, Anthony, it's funny, how you were describing that, because when I was 14, I actually had this this grand vision of going into the hotel industry.
Wow.
And my parents thought it was a really bad idea at the time. And they said, well, every time everyone else is celebrating or sitting around the family table, whether it's Christmas or whatever the holiday may be, you're going to be working. You know, it's an intense industry, and not necessarily for everyone. But if you're happy to be of service, and if you really are eager to create memories and working with people, for people, and if you are eager to see the world and really kind of be exposed to very different cultures around the world, whether it's, you know, traveling or working and so forth, there's really no better industry than the hospitality industry. And I always am very eager to stand in front of these audiences, because I always feel that there's been somebody somewhere that gave me the opportunity to be of service and to be creating those memories. And at the same time, I've been given those opportunities. So I feel that if I can do it, anyone can do it, no matter where they're from. But it's a matter of being hungry, of being of service, and really creating, you know, these extraordinary moments, no matter where you are or in which part of the world you're based.
Yeah, and you say of service. Jerry Anzarello, our friend, says servant leader. What I like to say, and it's taken me 40 years to figure out why I like this business so much. And I always say, I don't like everybody. I'm a person that, I like being by myself, and I'm not everybody thinks I'm the social butterfly. I'm really not. But there's one thing that I realized over a period of time, and I probably realized it on this podcast, is I like making people happy.
Right.
And that's it. I just love making people happy. I don't have to love you. I don't have to be your best friend. But when you're in my establishment, my number one job is to make sure you have everything you want. And I've never, ever been so upset or in a bad mood or things going on in my life or somebody's upset me or guest that I did not want to make that guest happy. And so to me, if you have that, like you said, being the servant leader or being of service or making people happy, and you have a few less brain cells than most people, this is the industry for you. Because you have to be a little nuts. When that flower behind you isn't perfect, or if that fork isn't perfect, or if that bedspread isn't perfect, people don't understand what it does to us emotionally. That it physically stops us from being able to function. And if you don't have that trait, this may not be the industry for you, because that's the level it takes, that these things literally physically attack you, that if they're not perfect. Because if they're not perfect, I always say it's not about the guest, this guest or that guest. You never know what upsets one guest. One guest might be upset by a dead petal on a flower. Another guest may be upset about a wrinkle on a sheet. It doesn't matter. If everything's perfect, everybody's happy. Sorry, Glenn. I didn't mean to hijack that.
No, Tom, please respond. Then I got a question for you as well.
No, it's truly an honor, and I think those memories people are taking away from really us every day, trying to achieve that perfection, and we may never achieve it, but I think it's the effort that goes into getting so close to that zero defect product, whether that is the actual hard asset that we manage, or really, I think more and more today, it's about going above and beyond and finding, what Forbes Travel Guide calls the golden nuggets, really, which is, what do we know about this guest, and what are they celebrating, and why are they here? What do they like? What do they dislike? What are their preferences? And playing into that and going above and beyond and creating those surprise and delight moments. There's great fun in that, but I think ultimately that's what people remember. And to us, maybe that's what we do. But oftentimes we hear of guests who come time and time again and say, wow, this just is incredible what the team did. And, and it's about inspiring the team in many ways and allowing them to create those surprise and delight moments. And oftentimes we may consider it, this is what we do, but to our guests, this is the reason why they come back time and again.
Now, Tom, you've got so many resources. You've got a great team there. You're very, very fortunate. There's a lot of hoteliers out there that don't have the same resources that you do. But what I like what you're saying is really just about listening to the guests and providing solutions that make them happy, to surprise and delight. What would you say to hoteliers that are sitting out there going, well, Tom, I can't do what you're doing, but how can they do what you're doing at a typical select serve or full service hotel throughout the world?
I think it's about human connections in the end of the day, and I think it's about having the innate hunger to create, special moments, and that doesn't need to be complicated. That doesn't need to be necessarily in an ultra luxury hotel environment. Some of the best service we all experience maybe on a beach bar in a remote part of the world, and it may just be those moments where there's that human connection, and there's those moments that are being created that many years later we remember. Or it may be a moment whereby someone is in trouble, or they lost their passport, and who helped them at that particular time. I think there's many different settings and thousands of interactions that happen on a daily basis in any hotel or hospitality or restaurant operation. But I think it's how we connect with those guests, and how we kind of play into that in that particular moment. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a larger operation, or anybody can kind of have those moments of understanding what the guest is looking for, or the situation they find themselves in, and then kind of take that moment and either do their job or go above and beyond. And I think that's why we choose the hospitality industry to go above and beyond.
Yeah, and that's the fallacy that most people think. Well, I don't have the resources. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have the employees. It takes one employee to change a guest behavior, change one employee to make a memory to last a lifetime. And you have to start with what you have, right? And the number one thing, and I'm sure that you interview most of your employees, if not all of them, that people say, well, I'm too busy to interview. I said, yeah, but what are you doing? Well, I'm in human resources terminating somebody. I was like, so you're not too busy to terminate somebody, but you're too busy to interview somebody. And Eric Long at the Waldorf Astoria taught me that. Eric Long.
Hold on, Eric Long was a long-term managing director, general manager.
I'm sure Tom knows.
I remember Eric. Yes, I remember meeting Eric
for all of our young listeners.
Yeah. So I've never had any mentors, but I would consider Eric was my one and biggest mentor in this industry. And he was an acquired taste, like a lot of people, but he understood that when you interviewed, it's great to trust your employees, your managers, but you have to understand that your number one job in any hotel, big hotel or small hotel, is to know who's coming onto your family. And once they come onto your family, and they don't have to have a lot of experience. I just had an experience at a furniture store with a gentleman who was the most wonderful gentleman, and he goes, well, they train me well. I said, no. I said, this had nothing to do with training here. I said, you were taught that at home. I said, you had a strong mom, didn't you? And he goes, yeah. I said, you had a strong foundation. He said, yeah. I said, if you didn't take out the garbage, what happened? I got my butt kicked, right? So that foundation of wanting to make people happy, I found it in him, and he was wonderful. And I don't like salespeople, so it was a wonderful experience. And that's what I try to get through to everybody, and I'm sure you do too. You don't have to come from 5-star to understand connection with people. Correct. Is what makes you 5-star. You can have, I always say, the architects build it, the designers build it. You walk into paradise, you walk into heaven. The reason I love this business is because when you go to these hotels, you're in heaven. But if you don't use the human resources, then all you have is beautiful architecture.
Correct. It all comes down to that human connection, right? And I think it doesn't matter, like you say, it may be in the furniture store, it may be in the poke shop on the corner of a street in Honolulu, right? I think it's about kind of being of service. And to your point, I think it's about your upbringing, and it's about service coming from the heart. We can teach. And I'm certainly, the recipient of great, training and opportunities being given to me, throughout my career. But we can teach anything. You can learn how to be the best sommelier in the world. You can learn how to, check someone in at the front desk and so forth. But that innate sense of hospitality and wanting to be a service comes from right here. It comes from the heart.
I remember I did a show called Five Star Secrets at One and Only in Cabo, and they went like this, from the heart. And I remember that emotionally and physically, it changed me. It literally that moment. I've had moments in my career that's changed me. That moment changed me because I realized when they did at first, I was like, "This is corny," and then I was just like, "Oh, that's what it's about." So it's those moments, those transformational moments that we all look for. And if you go to anybody's home and you see pictures, the pictures are either baby pictures or they're pictures of vacation. And we're in charge of those pictures going on their walls. And those pictures better have great memories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. What an incredible business we're in.
Yeah, for sure. And we really want to like spread the love of hospitality out there. And one of the things you're doing is, as we just talked about, you're doing that every day for your incredible guests that are out there. So what's kind of business like these days for you? Here in the United States, we're starting to get the feeling that when it comes to leisure travel, we might be hitting kind of peak and it's getting a little bit softer, and business travel seems to be doing all right, but group business seems to be very powerful right now and increasing in this part of the world. How's it going on your side of the universe?
Well, certainly here in the UAE, the Middle East in general has seen quite a very strong post-pandemic rebound. Dubai certainly has been doing an exceptional job in recent years. I think there's many factors to that, whether it's the rebound of the flights, with Emirates Airlines, which was really kind of the first airline out there, post COVID. Whether it's been the government of Dubai or whether it's Dubai tourism, really kind of telling the story. And it's been, I think 2024 really for us has been a transformative phase. Really, I think the launch of Atlantis the Royal as an iconic new resort right here in Dubai is certainly making waves in the industry. I mean, we see very, very strong performance, really 3 years in a row now, and it's been record month after record month. That continues to be the case.
Wow.
We've had an extremely strong quarter at both our resorts here, whether it's Atlantis the Palm or Atlantis the Royal, and really a phenomenal start of the year. And we certainly see that continuing throughout the year, and we do not see any slowdown at all. Even going into the summer, where traditionally in the past you would see somewhat of a slowdown, given the temperature here. Atlantis keeps going.
That's
which is quite incredible.
Anthony?
So one of the things that everybody's talking about, and me and my friend Glenn will be talking about it at High Tech in June, is AI. How is AI, especially at a luxury property like yours, being incorporated to maintain that connection to people, but also make things a little bit more efficient for everyone concerned? Have you been integrating AI anywhere in your property?
I think certainly when it comes to gaining the feedback, and we're only as good as the last breakfast served, right? And I think there certainly is opportunity continuously to improve, and I think this is where it's important to be able to bundle all the information that's out there and continuously improve and listen to the feedback and continuously challenge the team to ever get better. We've had an incredible start at Atlantis the Royal, but we have to continue kind of understanding what is the audience out there looking for. What is that guest looking for in an ultra luxury environment? And when it comes to experiences, what is next, and what is the guest looking for? And I think this is where these are areas where we certainly can learn a lot from. And take that technology, but then really kind of put it to work with the team and learn from it and take that forward.
So what's the one thing? Sorry, Glenn. What's the one thing that you're starting to see that maybe you didn't see 5 years ago that people are looking for? I know everybody's looking for experiential travel. Everybody's looking for spa. But is there one specific thing that is like, oh, that nobody asked for that 5 years ago?
Look, I think for us, and we pride ourselves to to be the world's most ultra luxury, most experiential resort, which is a big task, right? As we go out there and we identify that's who we are. But I think it's a combination of multiple elements. It's really I think the expectation of having exceptional suites, exceptional room product is certainly there. But I think the entertainment component is very, very important. For us. That manifests itself in the fountain shows, where we have introduced the element of fire, for example. That it manifests itself with the entertainment we do in terms of concerts. We continuously, have an excellent entertainment program that's being laid out. It's food and beverage and restaurants. We have a total of 50 restaurants here now at Atlantis Dubai, of which 17 at Atlantis the Royal, and the largest collection of celebrity chef restaurants anywhere on the planet.
Wow.
And really what that means is for our guests to be able to have those choices, and to be engaged and having these opportunities to learn and experience these cuisines all around the property. It's about wellness, and so it's about having the opportunity of kind of combining all of this and having the luxury of choice, but I think also more and more the luxury of time, whereby our guests are able to enjoy it in one place, and really I think it's about having all of this at your fingertips at any given time, and benefiting from the energy that the resort can provide, whether it's the retail, whether it's the restaurant scene, whether it's the bar scene, at the same time being able to retreat to your sky pool villa, and really enjoy your leisure time with the time with the family.
Yep. All right. So I think you kind of answered my question in there about competing against other luxury hotels in the area, because I think, I'm just saying this anecdotally, it feels like you might have the highest concentration of really high quality properties of anywhere that I'm familiar with in the world. In tracking the global hospitality industry, it feels like everybody must have their best property there. So how does it change your mindset about thinking about luxury experiences and stuff? Is it what you just told me, or is there something more to it that helps you get into the right place in order to create that differentiation?
Well, I think, in the end of the day, you can have the most wonderful asset, but it still comes down to service, and it still comes down to every guest interaction that we have. And imagine the thousands of interactions that occur every single day, from the moment you make your reservation to the moment you arrive at the airport to the moment you arrive at the hotel. And we certainly can create these very unique experiences with the fountain shows, or the artwork, or the retail experience that we have, and so forth. But it does come down to taking these moments and listening to what your guests are here for, and really being of service, because every interaction counts as we relate to the guest experience. And with 2,400 guest rooms and 50 restaurants, and over 100 slides and attractions in the water park, I think it's important for us that our team is being given the leverage to really be of service, and to really understand what they can do to improve that guest experience, as they create the experience around the resorts.
So changing it up a little bit, I'm going to ask you a question. What is your morning look like? A typical morning for you, which in the hotel business, especially a property like that, there's nothing typical. But what time does your morning start, and what are the one or two or three things that you do every single day, as you're starting your job? Is it, walking the property, stand, whatever it is? What's your routine early in the morning, and what time do you start?
Well, early in the morning, I typically like to get up early, do some exercise, be out there. I would have cleared my inbox already from the overnight, with maybe overnight reservations that came in, or inquiries, or last minute updates and so forth. So I would have done all that before 7 a.m. Or
Well, they
possibly
said, look,
earlier.
look. I literally put my hand up. I was like, before you said it, I was like, before 7 a.m. Go ahead.
And then you kind of look at the day ahead, the days ahead, who's coming. There's really no single day is really the same. But then we typically prepare for the morning briefing, right? And I think ultimately, I mean, for me, running, I was used to running hotels that were 200, 400 guest rooms large, and at some point found myself running Atlantis, the Palm, with 1,600 guest rooms. And really that sense of hospitality does not change. I think the key is, and Anthony, you were mentioning it before, is the people, and it's who are the people in place. And as we interview team members and so forth, we're really looking for the best in the business, and we're really looking for them to own each of their business units. And really, I think, as we have the morning briefings, the morning briefing here does not vary too much, of what we do here versus maybe the morning briefing I was doing in a hotel that was 100, villa bungalows out in the Indian Ocean, or on a private island in Hawaii. And I think it's about preparing for the day. It's about highlighting very specific points that may be occurring. Maybe there may be special events taking place around the hotel and so forth. And then really, I think in my role, it's certainly much more strategic today than traditionally. And my role here is maybe one step in very much deep into operations and into day-to-day experiences of our colleagues and our guests. But the other leg is really into running a relatively large team, and we today have over 7,000 colleagues here at Atlantis Dubai, and it's not just taking care of our guests and our colleagues, but it's also, we house everyone here in Dubai, so we also have an exceptional team taking care of our own team.
That's amazing.
Where we have our own dining spaces and entertainment programs and so forth for our colleagues.
That's interesting. Why don't we go back to the morning stand-up huddle, whatever you want to call it, briefing? Because in our industry, the hotel, I can tell you the difference between a well-run hotel and not a well-run hotel by the quality of the morning stand-up. I was asked a couple of times when I was on vacation to go to morning stand-ups of hotels and just give a few words. And there was one, it was a holiday weekend, and the hotel, it was a beautiful hotel. I knew people that ran it, but it just wasn't exceptional. And I was not really overly happy with the hotel. And when I went into the morning briefing and I came out of it, I told my wife, now I know why the hotel's not running well. And because you can tell by the morning briefing. So how many people in your morning briefing, and how long is your morning briefing?
So we try to keep our morning briefing to about 15-20 minutes. And on average, we have about 35 to 45 people on the morning briefing. Traditionally, pre-COVID, we would all gather in a relatively large boardroom. But today, geographically, given the size of our operation, and one of the things we actually changed during the COVID days, are we doing Teams calls, and so everyone is on the call. We go through all of the events of the day. We go through the upcoming revenues. We go through where are we, month to date. Who are the VIPs coming in? What are the ins and outs of the day? Is there things we can improve? And really zooming in on particular opportunities we may have in-house. And I think it's really quite detailed, but we have on multiple times have we actually changed some of the format in terms of how do we keep it concise, keep everyone engaged, have information that's important for everyone who's on the call. and information that's very important to the guest experience. And then ultimately, if there is very specific points that we need to take offline, we will do that immediately after that call. And so we always keep that extra 10-20 minutes afterwards.
Could you imagine running this hotel, this resort, this nation? This, I always call these hotels little nations, right? Could you ever imagine running that without and going 3 weeks without a stand-up or a morning briefing?
Absolutely not.
Right. And I just emphasize that because too many people run hotels and don't have them.
Right, because they don't think they need them.
And for us, it's not just the stand up for the entire team.
Right.
It's for the entire hotel. We have that by department, and we really go through all of all of these moments together multiple times, and we do it twice a day. We'll have one in the morning, and we have another catch up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, really to zoom in to the experiences of the day. Very specifically guest directed is that afternoon meeting, and then very specifically also looking at the dinner experience. We have our guests at the restaurants here. Given the size of our food and beverage, we import the vast majority of our guests in the restaurants for lunch and dinner, and with that also we go through that same kind of process, not just from a hotel point of view, but also for each of the restaurants and each of the banquet events that may be taking place around the resorts, or it could also be in the water park at Aquaventure.
Glenn, if I can ask one question, and before you wrap up,
I got another topic to talk about, but go ahead.
I'm going to ask you an impossible question, but you have to answer it. Okay, or Suzanne, our producer, clicks you out.
Yeah.
Off the show. In your incredible career, and you have a legendary career, is there one moment that stands out where you're like, wow? Like I have a moment that I talk about a lot, but is there a moment that you have that was like, wow, that was an incredible experience, incredible moment? How did I get here? Is there one thing that stands out?
I would certainly say that would be the grand reveal of the opening of Atlantis, the Royal. It was one of these moments that really you afterwards realize what the team has just accomplished. There was 1,500 of the who's who in the world who was invited to be part of that experience. You have Beyonce and Swedish House Mafia that are headlining the experience, but literally it was not just that performance. It was literally going from 0 to 200 miles an hour as you open the resort fully and have a full occupancy of guests. All restaurants are going live at the same time. You have guests checking in on Thursday and leaving the following Tuesday. And really it's about in one go creating a brand that didn't exist before. And that's quite an incredible undertaking that this team has been able to pull off in great fashion.
I've never opened a hotel. I'm an emotional guy. I've never opened a hotel where I didn't cry. Like it is such. I don't know what it's like to give birth, obviously, but I'd imagine that I'm not saying it's as painful, and I'm not saying it's as glorious, but that's the closest I've ever given birth is opening a hotel, because, like you said, it goes from 0 to 200 miles an hour, and then if you're not prepared, and if you're truly not prepared, if your systems aren't working, your team isn't right, uniforms aren't right, everything's not right, you can never put that genie back in the bottle. If you open correctly, it's smooth. But if you open incorrectly, that first week will literally take 10 years to recover from.
Absolutely. It's the one moment of truth. And it's really what we prepare for, right? It's all in the preparation, but it's also in all the simulations that take place ahead of time, and really bringing your team along on that journey. The number of times we ourselves stayed in every room snagged, to re-snagged, de-snagged, went back into the same rooms with multiple times, just from a room point of view, but then at the same time doing that exercise in each of the 17 restaurants, doing the simulation out by the pool and beach. And by the time you are comfortable with the experience and you're ready to test it, then maybe broaden that experience to friends and family, right? Whereby you actually have maybe peers and hoteliers and our colleagues from the corporate office come over, owners and asset managers come over, and really kind of take that experience one step further until you really kind of get into that moment of the truth and are ready to open the doors. And that time frame of everything I just described typically is very, very short. So you have to be prepared, and it's all in the preparation of years of preparation and training and writing down, the guest journey and rehearsing and simulating that time and time again until such moment that you feel comfortable with it. Because once you're there is no way back. It's truly the moment of the truth at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So before we wrap up, I'm curious, you've got this iconic property there with the Atlantis, the Palms. You're going ahead and you're going to build something else. Now, you've got to top this thing, but you've already got such an icon. How do you think about developing that next generation of product that's going to be contemporary and really wow today's guests without destroying the essence of the original?
Well, that's a great question, and ultimately, we actually have seen very little dilution of our business from the existing Atlantis, the Palm, as we opened Atlantis, the Royal. So we have created an entirely new audience. There's really only about 4% of the guests at Atlantis, the Royal, who may have already visited the original Atlantis, the Palm.
Wow!
And so what's been important for us is to create different experiences, and so we have an extraordinary property that's been going for 15 years with really a fascinating aquaventure. I mean, it's over 100 slides and attractions. We care for 65,000 marine animals at the water park. It's really quite the experience. And to your point, how do you top that? And I think for us, it was about adding on experiences rather than kind of creating different experiences. And I think it was in the various elements, whether it was the iconic architecture of the building, which truly is stunning and cannot be missed from anywhere in Dubai, whether it's the restaurant offerings and really building on a very strong basis. We already had great brands such as Nobu and Gordon Ramsay and Hakkasan, our own homegrown brands such as Oceano in the underwater restaurant and Seafire, the steakhouse. But now it was adding on to those experiences. And that was really kind of the key. So by adding on, whether it was Milos, by creating Lamar with Gaston Acurio, dinner by Heston Blumenthal, and so forth, it was offering new cuisines. But it goes beyond that. It was also about offering different wellness experience. It was also about creating different entertainment and experiences around the resort that ultimately complement each other. And today, we certainly are the beneficiary of all of these experiences for our guests, kind of culminating in something that is really unheard of anywhere in the world.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Now, I've never made it to Dubai, as we said in our opening, but I have been to Atlantis and Bahamas, and I remember how that kind of changed everything and how gorgeous it is and the way that everyone cares for the marine life. So I'm picturing that and then timesing it by like 10,000. So I'd really love to see your place one day. Thank you so much for everything. Anthony, any final things for our amazing guest today?
No, it was a pleasure, and I'm sure I'll see you soon. And thank you for everything you do.
Thank you so much, Anthony and Glenn. Really keep inspiring all of us. We're truly having an exciting journey in the hospitality industry, and the best is yet to come.
Yeah, and I will say, let me top you and say thank you for inspiring us and our audience today. Tom, you are amazing. And so are all of you out there. Listen, this show, Anthony, was so chock-a-block full of information. I think everybody should take a moment and download the audio version of our show. If you're watching this on video, get that wherever you get your podcast. Or if you're listening to us, why not watch this one? You're not going to want to miss it. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, the No Vacancy news page on YouTube, and all of our No Vacancy properties and Anthony's personal page all over the place, and novacancynews.com. All right, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show live. Happy birthday, Daniel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see you tomorrow.
Dubai.